So I want to talk about my second attempt taking place in Fort Wayne, Indiana, age 20, around, I think it'd be 2023. Yeah, 2023, age 20. I'm now 21. And so before moving to the Grissom Air Force Base down in Indiana, I went to go eat a meal with my aunts down in Minnesota. And upon driving down to Minnesota, these 3 semis were following me to Minnesota and back from Minnesota back to Oklahoma and back to my resident. Okay, weird, coincidental. But then on the way to Grissom Air Force Base, those same three semis followed me to Indiana, from Oklahoma to Indiana, and one even threw a license plate at me. So these people were I don't know who they were. I don't know what kind of big company this is, or like what kind of harassment this is. But I know upon entering Indiana, the lights would only go from green to red, which is noticeable. It was just in Indiana, the little town in Indiana, upon entering. And then the semis went away. And I went and I moved down there with my aunt. My aunt invited me down there. She got me an apartment. She paid for an apartment for me. My name is on the lease though, and get this, that this lady could enter my apartment anytime she wanted to. Because they'd rather give the keys to her or whatever than give the keys to her, because she paid for the apartment apparently. My name was on the lease and she paid for it. And just because she paid for it means that she can enter the apartment anytime she wanted to. And that lady desk lady said, I told the desk lady that she was harassing me and other such, so forth and so on, and she just nothing that she could do about it. But before all that, upon moving in, I got a job at a convenience store not too far away from the Grissom Air Force Base apartments that I was living in. And I met a guy there. I was asking if he had anyone who knew anyone who was selling anything. And he said, yeah, you gotta take me to Fort Wayne and I'll get you some. Which was cool. I did that. Took him to Fort Wayne, and on the way of going to Fort Wayne, he kept on telling me he had a house to sell. That he used to be an ex-military, and then he got addicted to heroin, lost all of his stuff, and he had a house to sell. But he has a house. He owns a house, but he has to sell it, or whatever. But he was living at his mom's at that time. But anyways, thought that was suspicious because going into Fort Wayne, Indiana, the city, you can notice that the lights only went from green. It was a Friday night in the city, very busy, and the lights only went from green to red. I went on there on other occasions too, and the lights were never like that. They go from green, yellow to red. But on this occasion, this Friday night, the lights went from green to red. And he told me to park into a George's parking lot, even though that we were meeting this person at the convenience store. I was like, okay, whatever. Mind you, I'm totally unaware of any type of criminal activity. I'm not a criminal person. I'm just a citizen. Basically, I'm not into that stuff. I don't think about that stuff, especially with what happened to me. Or not with what happened to me, but like, I never imagined any of that stuff, that those could have been dangerous I just never thought like that. And that's because probably the depth of mind control or whatever, or the innocence, the shelteredness. But there was we parked right next to a big black van, and upon getting out, he said he had to go use the bathroom. So we went across the street and used the bathroom. Then we came back, and he wanted to walk around the parking lot, and he asked if the George's was open, and it was obviously closed. He knew it was closed, but we still walked, and I didn't think of that at the time, but it was obvious now. But we walked close to the George's. It was obviously closed. And we went back to the vehicle to go sit there and wait for the person. Upon getting in the vehicle, the black van starts up, and he pulls out across the street, and something in my head tells me that the witchcraft or whatever that was done to me, because I have voices at this time that were very loud. I didn't know the extent of the mind control or whatever. I didn't know the extent of how dangerous the voices were for me and stuff like that. But I knew I had voices that I was acknowledging, at least. And the voices told me that was a traffic. These two were that was a traffic attempt. That's the second traffic attempt that you've had. That it was the other one was another kidnapping attempt, traffic attempt. They keep on saying traffic attempts. Maybe it was in order to intimidate me or something, but I think they were kidnapping attempts as in order to traffic me. And but they kept on saying those are traffic attempts, and it sounds familiar. It sounds like and the devil makes it sound familiar to me. The traffic attempt, it makes it sound like a kidnapping attempt. That's what a kidnapping attempt is, a traffic attempt. But anyways, he pulls out as I hear that in my head, goes across the street and stares at me for a hot minute, and then drives away. Mind you, I also was suffering with a little bit of a psychotic disorder at this time. Not because of drugs or anything like that. It was because of the demonic possession. They were telling me, like, I remember them putting it above my skin, the demons putting it above my skin, and like making me have the thought of like, I feel kind of psychotic right now. But I paid no mind to it, and I walked around like that every day. Ever since a kid, I walked around like that every day with a major psychotic disorder, and acted like and it was just normal to me. So I wasn't very clear. I wasn't very, how to say, I was crazy bitch. Because for how I just didn't think about things, and etc. That's how I figured out those were kidnapping attempts. Those were traffic attempts, or whatever. Is through that voice in my head telling me what those were. The witchcraft. And Haskell had to do with it too, because I remember my friend in Haskell, they lied about where I was going to somebody, and they also were saluting me for some reason, like crying and saluting. And whenever I got back from Indiana, they were crying in their room, watching God. And they also they were also mimicking who they thought I was. A group of people were mimicking who they thought I was to me, bloody writing to me or whatever. And It was all three different. They was all different people, and what they were doing was performing witchcraft on me. That's what I think they were doing. I think they were performing witchcraft on me at the time to tear me apart, tear all myself apart, because I was in a very vulnerable state of mind around that time because of other things.